Hello, my beautiful nerds. So right now, everything is terrible. The world has been devastated thanks to Corona. No, not that one. And it's been an incredibly trying time to be an African American. No, not that one. Hopefully the country is on the road to change for the better, but right now everything kind of sucks shit. I'm gonna keep doing what I've been doing, donating, making calls, writing emails. But for right now, I need a distraction from real life, so let's talk about some cartoons. There are a whole lot of DC cartoons. I don't think it's a secret that fans generally enjoy DC animated properties more than their live action ones. Yes, a lot of people like Batfleck, but no one, and I mean no one, hates Kevin Conroy. So with all this free time I've had lately, I decided to go into a deep dive on that DC app nobody has. Again, if you don't agree with my list, these are just my favorite. I'll also list a couple of my favorite episodes from each show. And if you want to check them out, they're all in the DC Universe app. They're not a sponsor or anything. But if you're listening, DC, and you feel like throwing some money my way, I let your boy. Number 10, Static Shock. The story for the show is pretty good, and the character for Virgil/Static is fine. The dialogue is just really bad. You can tell when writers are struggling writing for young people or black people, and this show clearly had trouble writing for both. These writers definitely tried to pander to their intended demographic. I mean, there's an episode centered around Static Shock meeting Shaquille O'Neal. That's some Harlem Globetrotters Scooby-Doo shit. The show does a better job as it goes along, though. It touches on subjects that DC animated shows wouldn't dare talk about, like race and economic inequality. And when they start crossing it over with Batman and the Justice League, it gets considerably more fun to watch. I do think it was pretty cool that DC created an animated series starring a new black superhero, even if he's just, like, young Black Lightning, basically. It's not a terrible show, I just wanted it to be better. But hey, it was better than the Zeta Project. Number 9, Legion of Superheroes. The story for the show is pretty interesting. Young Clark Kent from the 21st century is recruited by an intergalactic superhero group from the future. It wasn't amazing, but considering it was only created as a way of increasing Superman's popularity before the theatrical release of Superman Returns, I'd say it could have been much worse. The Legion are kind of like the Guardians of the Galaxy of the DC universe. They go on these wacky space adventures where weird and funny shit happens, and for the most part, it's really good. I also like the idea of Superman spending his teenage years fighting evil space villains. He isn't just given superpowers and then he's suddenly the greatest hero of all time. He has to learn how to become a hero. Number 8, Superman, the animated series. So, two genius minds by the names of Paul Dini and Bruce Timm created a little show called Batman the Animated Series. And since then, there have been a slew of TV shows and movies that have been set in the same continuity. This includes Superman the Animated Series. The show is pretty damn good. This was probably the best Superman ever. He's just very fun and he's a do-gooder without being boring. This kind of character, the hail fellow well met who's always good and right and true, there's kind of a thin line between him being inspirational or white bread. This show handles that balance nicely and creates the Superman that's actually fun to watch. We also get a lot of great cameos from other DC characters, and a Batman Superman special that's an hour and a half shorter than Batman v Superman, and somehow has twice as much character development. Number 7, Teen Titans. When this show came out, most people didn't know who Cyborg or Raven or Beast Boy or Starfire were. Unless you're a big old comic book nerd like me, Robin was the only recognizable character. As the show's sometimes season-long story arcs start to get more meaty, the characters get more fleshed out and the voice actors get to show off their tremendous talent. Robin turns into a real hero, Raven opens up and accepts the team as her new family, and Cyborg and Beast Boy are the clear standouts. They're basically the Troy and Abed of the group. I thought because of the animation it was going to be childish, but it has more of an anime vibe blended with the Bruce Timm style of a lot of different DC animated shows. And it gets a little cartoony at times, but not any worse than, like, say, Tenchi Muyo or Dragon Ball or Cowboy Bebop at their wackiest. I'm a fan of anime, so I dig it a lot. And even with that silliness, it still takes time to be heartfelt and thoughtful.
There are those on other planets who feel Tamaranians are inferior. Trock is what they call us.
So he's calling you a terrible name. And you know that if you punch him out, it'll just confirm all the bad stuff he thinks about you.
Yes. You know what it feels like to be judged simply because of how you look?
Of course I do. I'm part robot.
Number 6, Super Friends. Do you know what makes Scooby-Doo so good? Yeah, me either. But it is. It's fucking amazing. For whatever reason, if it's on, I'm gonna watch it. Something about the format and the colors and everything has just always been pleasing to me. Super Friends is exactly like Scooby-Doo, but with superheroes. And that's why it's a masterpiece. No one ever really fights or anything, or gets hurt, for real.
My ability to talk with fish is of no help, Wonder Woman.
They kind of just solve crimes and thwart bad guys. Don't get me wrong, the show is very stupid. The corny dialogue, the ridiculous plots, and what the fuck is Marvin's deal? Even with all that though, I'd still rather watch this than any of the shows that come before it on this list. Plus it introduced the world to the greatest superheroes ever created, the Wonder Twins.
Shape of a gopher! Form of water!
5, Batman Beyond. Another product of the Timverse, or the Diniverse. Teenyverse? Batman Beyond takes place after Bruce Wayne has hung up the cape and cowl on account of the fact that he's old as shit. Enter Terry McGinnis. Terry is a punk kid with a heart of gold that takes up the Batman mantle under the tutelage of Bruce Wayne himself. This was such an interesting take on what Gotham would look like in the not too distant future. The world building in this show is really spectacular and the character designs are slick and innovative. After decades of different artists putting their stamp on comic book, superhero costumes still don't really change that much. No matter how ridiculous they may look, Batman Beyond completely changed the design of the Batman costume and made it fit so perfectly with the angular, shadowy style of the cartoon. Number 4, Young Justice. This one feels like more of a mixture of Justice League and Teen Titans. In fact, do they get a name? Are they the Teen Titans, or are they just like Baby Justice League? I don't know, it doesn't matter. The first couple of seasons shows a gradual and realistic growth within the team. After each mission, they're changed by it, for good or ill. And you see those experiences change our heroes as the show goes on. I'm particularly a big fan of Martian Girl. I kinda on-site hated her when they introduced her. I honestly think it was a costume more than anything. This costume is stupid. But her story is probably more interesting than anyone else's on the show. They make a great decision to switch up the roster a bunch too. It keeps things from getting stale and it fast forwards all the filler episode level events in the characters' lives. Hey, Zach, Shaka's in the show. And they have long storylines that last the length of a season sometimes, so you get sucked in really quickly. It's probably the most bingeable show on the list for that reason. Number 3, Harley Quinn. I've already gushed over this show in my season 1 review, so I'm gonna do it some more. The show is so good, I love it so much. And season 2 just kicks it up a notch by introducing more characters from the source material and delving into the No Man's Land storyline. They get deep into DC lore and they lean into that for some really great comedy. I mean, Harley, Ivy, and Catwoman have a bachelorette party in the Mascara. Fucking Granny Goodness is in this shit. Harley Quinn definitely benefits from being the newest DC animated series. DC tends to knock it out of the park in the animated department, and I had no doubts that it was gonna be good, but this show was insanely different than any DC show that's come out before. Forget the fact that they curse and there's blood and shit. The show takes the time to have discussions about gender equality, mental health, and spousal abuse. And even though the show is funny, it's not a spoof.
I call this one Reed in the water. His name is Reed, and
He's in the water, yeah, we get it. What the fuck is wrong with you?
I'm working out my ship!
The writers and actors really understand who these characters are, and the development of Harley Quinn becoming her own person was handled better than the movie, even though I like the movie. Also, something I forgot to mention in my review, the action sequences are actually really dope. The shit they do episode to episode is consistently bananas. Number 2, Batman the Animated Series. I'm cheating on this one a bit because I'm combining Batman the Animated Series with the New Adventures of Batman, since they're in the same continuity. Most of the shows on this list would not be possible if it weren't for this ambitious and influential cartoon. Like I mentioned before, this was the inception of the DC animated universe, and was made legendary by its tremendous design, voice acting, and storytelling. It even gives us the introduction of not only Harley Quinn, but the friendship between Harley and Poison Ivy.
Hey, aren't you that plant lady, Poison Oakie?
Ivy! Poison Ivy!
Sorry! Harley Quinn, pleased to meet ya!
Kevin Conroy is the GOAT.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
Sploosh!
Actually, yeah, gotta give him the sploosh.
And whatever my equivalent of sploosh is, which I guess is just sploosh. Only with semen.
Luke Skywalker as Joker, Timmy Turner as Harley Quinn. I mean, the cast was undeniably good, and many of the stories were moving. The show won a gang of Emmys for their writing. Also, an aspect that is overlooked a lot is the music. It sounds a lot like Danny Elfman's score from the Tim Burton film, and that's intentional. But it's very different, and it's iconic in its own way. I don't know why they don't give composer Shirley Walker all the superhero movies. Beyond the theme song, which is a fucking banger, there are a lot of beautiful songs in every single episode. This show is perfect. Some cartoons from this era, when you rewatch them, they don't really hold up, like whether it be writing or animation. But this show was ahead of its time and still holds up to this day. This one was very close to being my number 1. Like I said, it's a perfect show. But my number 1 spot is reserved for the cartoon that combines the best parts of all of my favorite shows on this list. Number 1, Justice League. Justice League is fucking sick. Again, I'm cheating a little bit. I'm including Justice League and Justice League Unlimited with this. The series is a sequel to Batman and Superman's animated cartoons, so we get familiar familiar faces like Batman, Superman, and The Flash. But the introduction of the rest of the main lineup is a lot of fun. Hey, Zach, Shaka's in the show. All the characters get a moment to shine, and one of the ways that they do this is not insisting that every character is in every episode. Like, there'd be episodes where certain characters aren't even there because they'd be useless. I'm looking at you, Bats. Justice League Unlimited opened the DC universe up in the most fantastically fantastical way. I mean, the possibilities were endless as far as DC characters go. The Question, Huntress, Black Canary, Wildcat, Elongated Man, Dr. Fate, Jonah Hex, Dr. Light, Stargirl and Stripe, Hawk and Dove, Vixen, Red Tornado, Captain Atom, Atom Smasher, the Atom Ant. No wait, that's not right. Green Lantern, Green Lantern, Green Lantern, Green Lantern. Even fucking Booster Gold gets an episode. And it's actually a really good episode. One thing that the MCU hasn't quite figured out is how to make it feel like their big A-list superheroes exist in the same world as their smaller ones. I mean, when you see Captain Marvel basically take out a Star Destroyer with her bare hands, it's hard to imagine that she exists in the same world as Jessica Jones. But in the first episode of Justice League Unlimited, the world feels huge and all the characters feel like they belong here. Justice League is Infinity War plus Endgame times 10 stretched over the course of an entire series. And that finale is what? It's a wonderful series with superb acting, animation, directing, and writing. It succeeds on all levels and is the best property that DC has to offer, animated or otherwise. Okay, that's it for this list. You guys got a favorite DC show? Let me know in the comments. Stay safe, my little super friends, and may the force be with you.